Its energy surrounds us and binds us.
Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome back to Carbonite Convos. We got episode 11 coming at you today. We've been doing some team ups the past couple weeks, but we decided this week we just wanted to stick it with just me and Alex. So we had a short story come out this week, and we had our first episode of a new playlist on YouTube. It's going to be exclusively on YouTube from now on. It's going to be called Top Moments. So pretty much, we explained it in the video. It's just top X amount of moments from what characters and what trilogy or what comic book, whatever you want. So obviously this week's was top 5 R2-D2 moments from the prequel trilogy, and we had a short story about L3 from Solo, a Star Wars story. So I think we'll just jump into talking about some L3. Alec?
Yeah, man. Sounds good. Again, guys, welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. This week we actually kind of had a little bit of a droid-themed couple episodes. And, just like in the short story, me and my roommate were watching Solo just because I'd only seen it a couple times and it had been a while. And let's check it out. And I'm not even going to lie. I did not like L3 at first. I thought she was kind of annoying. I thought she was just a little bit overdone, but then I watched it again and I never realized how important she really is, man. Like, oh my gosh, like such a huge factor. And obviously, there's a ton going on in the world right now. And I think she's a really good, accurate representation of things that are right. And by that, I mean, obviously she's huge into droid activism. Okay. And you never really think about in the rebellion that these droids are being suppressed as well, right? You just think they're droids, but obviously with restraining bolts and those sort of things, and obviously depends on who owns them, but like they're obviously characters too, and they have their own minds and they have feelings essentially. So like, I think to an extent.
Yeah.
And so I think it's interesting to see, like, obviously she's incredibly self-aware because she's, developed herself and she's built herself into that droid she became, originating as an astromech. And I think it's just really interesting to see the power that one droid can physically do, obviously being similar, like we see R2 go off and do really cool stuff. But I think this shows a different side of what droids can do.
Definitely. I think going back to what you said about how they have feelings, I think that's one of the big philosophical questions of Star Wars, because it's almost like droids. I've always pictured them. I hope this doesn't come out wrong, but I'm not going to offend any droids out there. But I've always pictured them kind of as like more advanced, like pets. Like you have R2. Our pets can't do anything for us, but that's just kind of always how I saw them. You have these sidekicks that are there and they can actually do things for you. But after seeing L3, sorry, I'm backtrack. Let me backtrack a little. Going back to what we were talking about droids having feelings, I think that's where the philosophical part comes out, because they're machines. They're pretty much AI. I don't know, give or take. They're artificial intelligence. So do they or do they not have feelings? It's hard to tell, but from the story we've been given in Star Wars, these droids do have feelings. They have friends, they have enemies, they feel pain almost. I know that's more in the comics, but they feel pain. When they have limbs ripped off, they get dirty. They know when they're not performing right. So I think seeing L3 in Solo, especially the entire Kessel scene where they're on Kessel, getting the what's it called? What do they get? Refined coaxium. When they're getting that, I think that was a big, especially with what's going on today. I think you're exactly right. Like, that was a big step, not a stepping stone, but it can help people relate to what's going on in the world right now with
absolutely
inequality, with race and gender and all that stuff. So it is a very, very positive message. trying to think if there's anything else on that topic.
No, and I don't even know if I don't know if feelings is the right way to describe it. I mean, it's intelligence and it's being aware. And obviously that's what L3 is about. But moving on with the story a little bit, it wasn't really sure what direction to take the story into because it's kind of a wide subject. But my focus on it, what I was, thinking about when I first saw this was her connection with the original trilogy and the events of the original trilogy. Okay.
Oh yeah.
So obviously, people have seen the movie and people watch the story. We know that her neurological system was infused with the Falcon, right? So I thought it was absolutely incredible that they were able to tie her in to those events. Obviously, when you rate the original trilogy, you don't know L3 exists yet. But when C-3PO says, "Sir, your ship has the most peculiar dialect," they set up such a big opportunity to do something with it, and I thought they hit it out of the park as far as what they were able to tie in with it.
For sure. And I was talking to someone on Twitter, another show. I can't remember what show it was. So, when you guys watch this, and I tried going back on Twitter to see who it was, but someone else brought up a really good point. Throughout the original trilogy, Han always refers to the Falcon as a she, as a her. So I thought that someone brought that up, and that was a really good point because, there's a couple different scenes. He said, she hasn't failed us yet, or, go get the Falcon, pull her around, stuff like that, like little instances. And there are all you when you watch them, you don't know if they did it in preparation for this. I highly doubt it, but it's amazing the little tidbits that the writers of these new movies, they can go back, they can watch the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy, and they can find something so small like 3PO saying your ship communicates with has such a peculiar dialect. They can turn that and connect it with this solo movie, and I don't mean that as a pun, but this separate movie. They can tie it in so neat, so clean, and that's what I love about it. But what the most interesting thing that I found out about the video that I'd like you to talk on more, if it's cool, is her last message to Lando, because I didn't know about that.
Yeah, so obviously there's a huge connection there.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of comical. I forget how the exact scene goes, but it works. He's talking to or she's talking to Kira about the feelings for each other and stuff like that. So obviously,
I'm very curious about that.
Yeah,
I'm very curious.
That's a little odd. I see Lando a little differently after
definitely.
that. But anyways,
I wonder.
Yeah, that's a little weird. Anyways, so end of the story, whether the form of their relationship or not, they care about each other at an extremely deep level. Okay, whether it's love or anything like that, and they've been through a ton together. But that was a sacrifice Lando had to make. She's out there trying to lead a rebellion of droids, and she gets killed essentially. And he realizes that if he doesn't do this, he's gonna die. Han's gonna die. Kira's gonna die. They're all gonna die. Okay, so he was able to, in a way, save her by infusing the two together. Okay, so once that happened, okay, the two systems had to accept each other. It's not like you just put a CD in a CD tray. It's two separate entities that were being fused into one, right? So she's still aware, and obviously with how intelligent she was and how aware she was, that didn't go away. So she was able to be aware during that whole scene, knowing that she wasn't gonna be able to actually communicate with him again through words. So through the screen, she shared the message with them that our time together has been fun. Okay. And so I can only imagine, okay, whether it's a girlfriend or a best friend or anything like that, if you lost somebody, okay, and you think they're gone forever, and then you're given one last message from them, I loved our time together. The impact that would have on the rest of your life, because you went from not being able to really say goodbye to them accepting their fate and you being at peace, knowing that they're okay. You know what I'm saying?
No, definitely.
I thought that
I
was
really like that.
incredible.
I think, looking back on it in Rise of Skywalker, I think they kind of they might have missed an opportunity
100%.
because, he flew the Falcon in Return of the Jedi, and he was in it as well in Empire Strikes Back. So I can understand nothing happening then pretty significant because they came 40 years ago. But with Rise of Skywalker after Solo, you'd think that there could have been, and maybe there was, and I just haven't seen anything about it, didn't notice it, but you think there would have been something of him reconnecting with L3.
Does he say something in Empire Strikes Back
What do you mean?
when he sees the Falcon again? Like obviously when he lands, does he say? I could be 100% wrong.
No,
Doesn't he say
does
something
say
like oh they're like look at old girl or something like that?
I don't think it's sad, but like
Something along
run it
those
back in my
lines.
head really quick. It's so they land really quick. I don't think he mentioned something like that.
I thought he
But
could have said
that
something along that
one
lines, but
moment, in that moment, Han referred to the Falcon as a her because um in that first exchange when we first see Lando and Han, and again, everybody, this is Empire Strikes Back. We hear Han say, "I won her from you fair and square."
right.
So I'm trying to think if Lando said anything.
I can't remember the exact
I don't
dialect,
think.
but
Yeah, I don't think
he
so.
might have mentioned something, but even if he did, it wasn't even close to what they could have done.
Yeah, especially in Rise of Skywalker,
Right.
because he could have
He's
something as simple as like,
it could have been him like rubbing like the steering wheel,
yeah,
like
like,
it's
"Hey,
good to be
girl,"
back, or
like, "Hey,
something like
yes."
that. Like, but
And,
yeah, they
maybe
really missed an opportunity. I completely agree.
we could go back and maybe there is, a little something that we just missed the first time around. But yeah, but
Potentially.
that's the good thing also with us getting the news a couple weeks back about a Lando and Janna series is maybe they can. I don't know if he'd have the Falcon, but maybe he can reconnect Lando and L3. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's definitely they got to fill it in somehow. So
Definitely.
I'd like to see it.
For sure. Oh yeah. Well, I'll watch anything Star Wars puts out. You know that.
Right.
What do you have anything else on L3 though?
No, nope. I just emphasize the fact what you just said about Rise of Skywalker, man. That, obviously, even in the trailer alone, like that scene where he shows him kind of laughing and looking through the
Yeah.
windshield. That could have been really, really, really neat, man.
Yeah. You
But
never know. Maybe we just missed it, but like, next time I watch it, I'll think of it. But let's get into everybody's favorite droid, R2 freaking D2. I don't even know where to start with R2.
the goat.
The goat. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I don't know. Where do you want to start?
Um, you know, I probably started off just talking about the new series a little bit, and how we're gonna kind of
Definitely.
do this thing.
Yeah, so I don't even know where the idea came from. Actually, no, I know exactly where. I was texting my dad in like a family group chat. Um, it's funny how it came up, but I was like saying stuff and I was like, it was completely off topic. But then at the very end, I was like, by the way, new episode, Carbonite Combo's coming tonight. Check it out. And my dad said, when are we going to get something on R2-D2? So I was sitting there thinking about what we could do, a short story I could do on R2, but I couldn't really think of anything off the top of my head. But then I was thinking of how badass he is just all the time. So I was like, all right, the prequels is where he really shined. Why don't I just do something, top 5 moments? And then, that just kind of snowballed into it being a new playlist. And I realized shortly after that, and we've talked about this obviously, that it should be exclusive to YouTube because it's mainly video. But yeah, it was a lot of fun to make. It was a lot of fun. It was, and we talked about this in preparation for the video. It was hard picking the scenes because he does so much. But I think the one that I want to talk about, it was the honorable mention, which we couldn't really put in the list, but it wasn't one moment. It was the fact that R2-D2 is present during the most not influential, but the most pivotal moments in Star Wars. You know, we see him at Padme and Anakin's wedding. And so I saw a theory on this the other day, really quick. I can't remember who it was. So if you know who it was, like, shout them out, because I would love for them to get credit, because it was pretty cool. I think it was someone showed it to me on TikTok. It was like C-3PO's mind got wiped after Revenge of the Sith, but R2's didn't. So, and you know, when you get married, you have to have someone other than the husband, whatever the couple is. You have to have someone other than those two and other than the preacher. So R2 and C-3PO were those. I just said the word. Why can I not think of it? They were those witnesses. But you have C-3PO get his mind wiped. So it kind of leads into the question of, if they wipe R2's mind, you know, there goes the only witness to Padme and Anakin's most secret wedding in the galaxy. So I thought that was, you know, would it make it legitimate still? But, you know, that was sorry, I smacked my mic. That was that was a tidbit, but I thought that was really interesting. But it got me thinking of how often R2-D2 is just there. But you looked like you were about to.
No, that's a great point. He's there in influential, pivotal, and fragile times.
Yeah.
Like in moments of almost weakness, like weakness in a sense, like obviously them getting married, Anakin showing a sign of weakness, showing his affection, there for Leia's death and birth and death, Padme's death. Yes. All those times, like those are moments of weakness. So I don't know if this was intentional, but from a fan's perspective, he becomes really what Star Wars is originally about, just a beacon of hope in those times, right? So like he's present in those times, and he starts to get associated with those. And then, you know, obviously R2 isn't weak ever, essentially, but like he's there, and he's support, he's hope, he's all those things you look for, and the main reason Star Wars is even a thing.
Yeah, and just think about the loyalty. Like you said, he was there at their wedding. He was there for Luke and Leia's birth. He was there, and it's obviously the same scene. Luke and Leia's birth. He was there for Padme's death. He was there at the end of Rise of Skywalker for Leia's death. And one other little thing I'd like to point out is, when in Revenge of the Sith, Anakin lands on Mustafar, right, to go kill the leaders of the Trade Federation, newly dubbed Darth Vader. R2's with him. So Anakin, he lands, he gets out. We've all seen the scene. He gets out. R2 starts following him, and Anakin says, "R2, stay with the ship." And then they cut to him, and you can almost feel the sadness. And I saw someone pointed out that
it was on TikTok. I think I saw it.
Yes, someone, and it was an awesome. It's not a theory or anything, but they just pointed this out. In Empire Strikes Back, Luke tells R2, stay with the ship, when he
multiple times.
I was thinking the main
one in Empire Strikes Back.
Yes, in Empire Strikes Back, when he lands on Cloud City in Bespin, he tells R2 stay with the ship, and then you see multiple frames of R2 just following Luke. And someone pointed it out that, you know, the last time someone told him to stay with the ship, you know, the last time a Skywalker told him to stay with the ship, you know, I don't know, not that he never saw him again, but he didn't come back. He didn't come back. And that's how, like, just the loyalty that R2 wanted to make sure that Luke was okay. And
it goes back to droids having feelings, man.
Exactly. And like the know-how, because I don't know if, you know, droids know the difference between Jedi and Sith. I'm sure they do, but they know the difference between the Republic and the Empire and all this stuff. So you see R2, the last time he sees Anakin, I'm sure he knows that Anakin turns into Darth Vader. I'm sure he has to know that on some level. And that Empire Strikes Back scene with Luke, that was very pivotal for Luke Skywalker's character arc, because at that point he could go either way. You know, the same thing as in Return of the Jedi, but at this moment, this is the first time he's really tempted with going to the dark side, because they tell him, like, you know, don't give in to hate. That leads to the dark side. He goes to confront Vader, doesn't know he's his father yet, but R2 stays right behind him until he can't anymore.
Until he can't anymore, literally.
Yeah, it was just a door that got in the way, and you almost sense the worry watching it now that R2 had, just hoping that Luke came back.
Right.
Yeah,
I agree, dude. I think that, dude, it's crazy, man. It's emotional, man. Like
it is, because I truly I believe you know what, well, this conversation has made me believe, man, they have feelings. They can
100%.
just R2-D2 in general, man. He's like, when I think of a best friend, I always think of Chewie.
Literally.
I always think of Chewie as the best friend because he's, especially after seeing Solo, he's always there for Han. But R2 is there when everybody needs him most. We talked about in the video, he saved Leia in the droid foundry on Geonosis. He was the only astromech droid that was able to repair the shield on the Nubian starship in Phantom Menace. So he's in all these scenes, and he's always, I don't know, he's just always there, and that's awesome, because if he wasn't there, in a lot of moments, Padme would have died. That ship would have spun out of control. Who knows what would have happened if he couldn't get those buzz droids, because they were wiping out Obi-Wan's ship with ease, like within a matter of like seconds. But yeah, that was a badass scene. Speaking of the buzz.
So what you're saying is that without R2,
who knows where the story would be?
No storyline would have existed, and everyone would have died.
You never know, man. The last thing I kind of wanted to bring up. I know we're running out of time here, but well, not running out of time, but we don't want to bore everybody. I would love to talk about the scene where R2 meets 3PO.
For the first time.
Yeah, you meet someone. Yeah.
I shut up.
Yeah. What do you think of that?
I mean, dude, the level of sass.
Yeah.
I think if it's the introduction, technically, I think it's a great introduction to the two as friends, Mm-hmm. And it's obviously cool R2 is not mean to him. He's kind of an ass to him. Well, but dude, in a lovable way.
Yeah, C-3PO is a dick. For like all of the movies, he's just a douchebag to R2. But I think it's funny because R2 started it almost. He calls him naked, and C-3PO's like, "What do you mean I'm naked?" and all that stuff. What I think is interesting that just came to my mind is that came out in 1999. I was 3. We were both 3 years old. So obviously we didn't get to experience it like other people did. I wonder what it was like for the fans of the original trilogy who grew up going to that, and they finally, after X amount of years, the Phantom Menace comes out, and you see R2 and 3PO meeting for the first time. I compare that a lot to us seeing Han and Chewie meet. The same can be said for the original trilogy fans too, because they grew up with Han and Chewie as well. But that was I think that was one of the first times we were really able, someone from our generation, where even Revenge of the Sith came out in 2005. I was 9 years old, so right. I couldn't appreciate it like I do now. But I bet that was pretty cool going to see this movie, knowing the relationship that R2 and 3PO have, and seeing their first interactions and how like comical it was, and how it defines their relationship. The whole joking scene, the level of sass between them. So yeah, I love that scene.
I'm right there with you, man.
And it's weird, I didn't really think of the scene like that until we were talking about this video. I never realized the magnitude of it, because I was like, wow, yeah, I knew this is where R2 meets 3PO, but I never really thought these are best friends. 3PO says it in Rise of Skywalker, "You've been my best friend." They've been in every medium, comics, Rogue One. What sucks, they weren't in Solo, but every single other movie. They've been in the Clone Wars, Rebels. They've been in everything. And then this is the moment that they first meet.
That's where it started.
Yeah. And it was cool because, when you can watch the movie as an adult, especially when I was watching it to make this video, they put a lot of emphasis on R2 meeting 3PO because Anakin, I think he was 9. He wants to show Padme, look at the droid I built. But they focused on R2 so much. They had him follow them right to the bedroom. You don't see Anakin and Padme walk in. You see R2 roll in. And then you see Padme and Anakin sitting there with 3PO. But the screen is on R2 so much. And I never really realized that because, that was the start of their friendship, and that's just really cool.
No doubt.
And then we go back to, we'll move forward to Attack of the Clones. They're reunited again, and then the rest is history.
The rest is history, man.
Yeah.
How many times do they like save each other, man? Well, R2 specifically saving 3PO, but
yeah,
it's great.
Yeah, my comments earlier, I like 3PO. I didn't mean. I don't know if that came off as.
You sure about that? It doesn't seem like you like him very much, man.
Just a douche sometimes because he calls him "you idiot" and smacks him, and I'm sorry, but R2 is.
Hey, I did the same thing to you, bro. You still like me?
Yep, kinda. I put up with you. Man, earlier in the show, I think it was when we were talking about L3, I had an idea. It'd be cool to have a. It was an idea for an episode. Damn it! Whatever. It'll come back to me. But yeah, I think this was a cool topic. This was one of the first weeks where the characters actually lined up. I know one week we talked about. Last week we talked about Krennic and Shaak Ti, but it was cool getting a couple droids, having some droid talk.
No doubt. A little droid talk action. So we want to talk about a little bit next week might look a little differently, or we want to save that for a little bit of surprise.
Well, no, let's just do it. Next week is going to be, if you want to.
We are just mix things up a little bit. Next week's going to be more of a Marvel themed week, just to, bridge a little gap, mix it up a little bit, keep some people on their toes. So I think
we started as Marvel and Star Wars too.
And it's been focused on Star Wars, but I
we
think
just hit the ground running.
Right. There's some cool Marvel stuff out there we want to talk about and get our thoughts out there. So, keep an eye out for 2 episodes next week on that. And then a third one at the end of the week talking about the 2. But it's pretty much it, man.
If anybody has been paying attention to, our conversations in the past when we guess Marvel, how about this? If you watch this video and you can tell, I'm sure it'd be a little easier to tell Alex, but if you can get back to us and let us know the 2 characters, because it's about our favorite characters. He's doing a video.
You think you can tell what mine is, or no?
You never know. He's doing a video on his character. I'm doing a video on my favorite. How about if anybody tells us the 2 characters for next week? I don't know. We'll send
throw us a sticker.
Yeah, some stickers your way. For the sticker, we have sent the stickers out from the last giveaway. So, I guess the only rule is you got to be following us on Twitter, and you have to
be subscribed.
Yes, you have to subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on Twitter, and you just can't have one of the stickers in the past. But other than that, tell us who next week's videos are about. But I think that's all I got. Again, guys, appreciate the support on everything. And we'll see you next week for some Marvel talk. Hopefully next week we'll have a better name for our Marvel portion, but we'll get back to you at that. Alec, do you have anything else?
No, thank you guys for tuning in as usual. Make sure you hit that like button, follow us on all our social media, and we appreciate the support, guys.
Yes, sir. Yeah, so again, episode 12 next week, and we got a short story and a top moments coming at you next week, both Marvel. But, in the meantime, like always, may the Force be with you guys.
Remember, the Force will be with you.